So we're gonna probably go through the mechanics again, but we're gonna do it a little bit less than normally because at this point most people should know. But of course, if you have questions about the mechanics of the game, please feel free to ask, and either we or someone in chat will help you out with that.
Yes, and definitely for this race as well, because this is going to be one of the closest matches that we end up seeing here in the group stages. I think their seeds are probably very similar. And here, we're starting. We're in prologue. We can jump, as you're seeing. We can also, as we see in the next screen, you can grab and climb and use those and jump in all manner of ways.
Yeah, so they want to be jumping as much as possible because it's a little bit faster than walking. Again, a couple of frames on each jump, so they can add up over the course of this prologue here.
And we just saw a bit of a sync there, really, really well synced. Whoever does that job in the background, you're great at your job, honestly. So we have a sync here. They're both pretty much tied at the end of prologue section, which is comes to be expected. It's a fairly straightforward section.
Yeah, and of course, it's on the end there. We got ourselves a nice little dash there from the bird. So we're gonna see them blasting through these first levels here with the help of these dashes and some other techniques that are possible because of them. Starting off, we're seeing a lot of wall bounces, especially in this first level, which is a dash upwards and then a jump. Gives a lot of extra. It can give both a lot of extra height and some extra horizontal distance on the wall bounces, or on the wall jumps. Sorry. Louder, they're going for a bit of an extended reverse hyper dash. So hyper dash is a down diagonal dash followed by a jump. Gives a lot of speed. Reverse means it's going to be reversed, and extended is when you hold the dash for long enough so that you actually get your dash back after you jump. Gets that very nicely on the second try there as well.
And we also see it's very, very close right now between the two runners, as they're in the same screen at the moment. So really, really close race so far, and hopefully we see that continue throughout the course.
Yeah, nice you say that, Mickey, with that little unfortunate that it loses a couple of seconds.
It happens.
And the commentary curse is alive and well.
It happens. It wasn't my fault. So yeah, we see Louder going for a bit of a setup there for the spike jump. We'll see if Mickey goes to the setup. No, he doesn't go to the setup. We saw this in his previous race on the other channel. He doesn't go for a setup here to get this first spike jump, which is really, really interesting, and I don't see from a lot of runners, so it makes this room a lot more difficult, and he's clearly having some issues with it. He gets 2 spike jumps in a row, though. That's pretty amazing, and it's something that we rarely see within races, at least. Even the high LPB doesn't go for that, so really, really good job from Mickey there to clear that room eventually, after quite a few days.
Alright, so now we're moving into old side here. So, of course, we have new mechanics, and all the chapters are going to be introducing new mechanics. We're going to explain them quickly here. We're actually only going to see 2 main mechanics here. The first one being the dream blocks that are going to be unlocked very soon. And the second is a bit of a chase sequence that we'll see in the end here. So the dream blocks are going to be unlocked right after the screen right there. Oh, it misses the cutscene skip there. So normally, or not normally, but you can do a glitch where you can gain like a second and actually skip the cutscene in the middle of that Dreamlock's wipe position, and you can just dash through it immediately instead of having to jump down from the bottom.
Right, and going through the dash blocks, we do regain our dash after going through the block, so we get to use that again straight after. Louder is now in the battle-in fight. Battle-in is 3 seconds behind you in these chase sequences, and she follows the exact path that you just took, so you have to be really careful to make sure you know where you were in the past 3 seconds, so you don't end up in the path of Battle-in, and yeah.
Yeah, and in these first couple rooms, it's not going to be that much of an issue because we'll be going so fast anyway, but in the room that's coming up now for Louder and the next one, it's going to be a lot more important to keep track of where balance is. Because of the fact that he's following you and you have to sort of go back on yourself. So. But Louder getting that first room very, very nicely, and Mickey's gonna join him in that room, in a room, basically. This is the other room there. Ooh, Louder having to do a little bit of save there so he doesn't get hit by the battle-ins after missing a hyper. Very nice there with your action. Mickey also getting that first room very well done, and now going for the second long room here.
Yeah, Louder is now in the awake section, which is the final section of the the chapter. And there's a lot of cool little movements that we use with hyper dashes and dash jumps. So we get to see a lot of those. And we may even see an ultra here or there, which is when you hyper and then do a diagonal down right dash, or down left dash. And you end up gaining a huge boost of speed in whatever direction you're going.
Yeah, so it can be used in a couple of places as a chain for really fast movement, but it's fairly precise and pretty hard. But if you want to see good examples of that, the task of this game is incredibly well made and utilizes ultras all over the place. So if you haven't looked at that, I highly recommend it because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Mickey actually had a very, very solid awake section and made up a bit of time on Louder in that chapter actually after some unfortunate deaths in chapter 1. So he's definitely brought it back a little bit. And, he's only going to be going into the next chapter about 10 or 15 seconds behind.
Yeah, about 20 seconds even actually, I think. Or 15. Well, something about that, yeah. So now Celestial Resort is the cycle-based section here. We're going to see these dust bunnies or dust creatures moving about. So we're going to have to keep track of those so we don't get hit by their timings. All the rooms here have 2 different cycles, one for death and one for entry. So most runners will actually have to learn all these rooms twice. But hopefully here we won't see too many of death cycles and we'll see the runners get through the rooms quickly.
You'll see, we took to this little floating man, and he's a Shiro. He's the hotel manager here at Celestial Resort. You may notice that with all this dust everywhere and not many people, it's kind of like an old haunted resort that nobody's used for some time. So if you want to learn more about that, then pick up the game. You'll find it in most consoles. But yeah, so Ashiro's around. He becomes a bit more prevalent at the end of this chapter.
Louder had again a bit of trouble there with that as those cycling dust bunnies to get through the room. Actually giving Mickeynow a chance to catch up, and it's actually pretty much tied now. After those.
Wow, I didn't notice that at all. Mickey's had a fantastic start to this section. As you can see, in in-game time,
Louder with an unfortunate death, and Mickey then just takes the lead just like that.
That's crazy. The in-game time, Mickeynow is about 20 seconds better than Louder's for this chapter. So really, really good start of this chapter from Mickey.
Now we're moving into the huge mess, and we'll see how these runners navigate here. One of the most annoying sections is speedrun because of the tight pathways where you have to use dash in fairly precise ways to get through here quickly. But after a bit of practice, of course, we're going to see these runners going through here fairly quickly still.
I would say the experience here of Louder and a slightly better PB made it so he had a slightly better huge mess section, made up a bit of time here, so they're in the same room now. It's getting really, really close again.
Ooh, Mickeynow with that unfortunate death there, so Louder is now back in the lead. This is a very, very incredibly close race so far. This is really cool.
Yeah.
So Louder getting a bit of a lead there. Both of them utilizing the spikes from there where you wall jump from underneath the spikes, so that you're actually moving away from them when you hit the spikes hitbox. And if you're moving away from them, you can't actually die from them, which is a very nice mechanic.
Yeah, and they're about 2 seconds apart right now. It's it's still going so really well for both players as they go through to the second section here.
Yeah, so in the different sections, you might have noticed there was a button at the end. So hitting the button will clean up a part of the mess, and we have to hit all the 3 buttons to be able to get a key there in the middle. I think we forgot to talk about keys, and you're not going to believe this. They unlock locks.
No. Really?
I know, it's crazy.
Wow. The game Celeste just pushes boundaries with its creative ideas. No, it really does, but yeah, the keys we use throughout this section unlock doors, and you'll also see that in another chapter later on as well.
So Louder now in the final part here of the huge mess in the pool area. So we're going to be finishing up there real soon, and Mickeynow is just about 2 rooms behind now, which is still just so very, very close.
Yeah, and again, we do see Louder with a slightly better PB than Mickey, so as Mickey goes for a... Okay, I thought he was going to go for a very, very tight cycle skip there that we generally only see, like, you know, the top 20 or so runners going for, but he ends up not going for that, but still very impressive from him, and yeah, considering the PB difference between these 2 players, the fact that it's this close is really, really good. Yeah,
so now we're seeing Louder in this room with these coins that we forgot to talk about actually. So these coins all have moving block tied to them, and you have to get all the blocks to move the or get all the coins, sorry, to move the block at the end of the rooms. Ooh, misses a coin there. Has to go back for it. Very nice way to get his dash back as well. So pretty good save still. Doesn't lose too much time there.
And Mickey has a very similar time right now for resort, as we see loudur taking a lot of deaths in this room. So we see Mickey catching right back up. Or has to go back up for the dash. He gets it, but he needs to get it and keep it.
There we go.
Manages to get through without a death. Well played to Mickey.
Mickey has some very solid reactions and backup strats, so it's really cool to see actually. He had a lot of cool saves in the last. Oh! Oh, dashes down diagonally into the almost right into dash 20, but actually jumps off instead. But it's not getting through. So loudur now in the last room here and going into the Shiro fight. Well, he wants to fight, but we don't have time because we have our game speed on, so we're just gonna run away from him. And just like the rest of the sport, this is cycle based, both the movement of Oshiro and the dust bunnies in the rooms. And Oshiro's cycles are the same on death and entry, but the dust bunnies do change a bit, so dying can still cause quite a lot of troubles in some of the later rooms especially. So we'll see how the runners deal with that.
And that's something that we will see a couple times throughout the game, where the knowledge of cycles and a runner's ability to adapt to certain situations that you find yourself in is really important. And oh, loudur nearly getting caught in the tail there by Oshiro, but manages to get through fine.
This last room can be quite a tricky section. It's very long room and the cycles can be a bit harsh, but loudur gets through first try very nicely there. Mickeynow also going into the very last room, and he opts to go for the death cycle here. A lot of runners find that a lot easier, so they just retry in the beginning to get a cycle that they prefer to use for this room. And he is flying through the room with that cycle strategy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Nearly hit the dust creature right at the end there. That was a bit too close for comfort, but he manages to get through it. 6:10 is a pretty solid time. And yeah, we're on for a pretty good race still.
Yeah, both runners had a really good Oshiro fight especially, so that's very nice to see here. loudur now going into Golden Ridge, which of course introduces new mechanics. We have bubbles that actually like an extra dash. We have wind that is wind and push you around, and then we'll have these clouds that sort of act like trampolines.
Just so really weird looking trampolines, to be perfectly honest, but yes, they do bounce you upwards similarly to what a trampoline would, and we'll see that used to great effect in a few screens from now.
So in the next room, actually on loudur here,
yeah, here we go.
He's gonna use the momentum here with an extended dash jump to skip that middle cloud and save a little bit of time. Pretty cool strat here. Coming up now to the shrine here, and he's gonna use a little bit of a wall jump into a spike wall jump. Very nice there, first try to get past there. So just as an sort, moving away from the spikes actually lets you get past them without getting hit.
Yeah, and there he chained a few wall bounces together to get through the room. You can actually dash through a screen transition and then jump when you get through to the next screen to get the desired effect of a wall bounce. So that's used in a couple spots throughout this run, and used to great effect there by loudur.
Yeah, so also in the last room loudur got a huge amount of speed from one of the arrow blocks, and it's used a lot in the run is getting momentum from blocks, because the momentum from the blocks adds a lot of speed to your different dash abilities for some really cool skips here and there.
Right, we're gonna see him go for some. Sorry, we're going for some wave dashes here on loudur screen, which is a diagonal down right hyper dash basically. So a hyper dash that starts in the air, and you gets to either run pretty cleanly. Mickeynow
having a fortunate thing with that arrow block and actually not moving it far enough up. So the players actually control these arrow blocks to an extent. If they have a green side, they can move them up and down. And Mickey didn't move that one far up enough, so it actually got stuck and got destroyed. loudur now in the last couple of rooms here before the harsh wind section. So in just a couple of rooms, he's gonna be basically unable to walk. But since we have speed tech on our side, he's still gonna be able to get through these rooms fairly quickly. It's probably the most the part that's most different from a speedrun or from casual play in the speedrun here.
loudur nails a pretty difficult strat there on the second try, and he's heading into the heavy wind section. So there's a lot of heavy wind here, and it sends you backwards for the vast majority of the screens, and we will see it send you forward as well, and just really fast. So casually it's very difficult to control. Walking is quite difficult to do, but with all the dashes that we have at our disposal as speedrunners, we use that to great effect here to there's a really good dash off the snowball there by loudur. It almost looked like he got hit by that one, but just managed to be slightly above it, I guess, to hit it and regain the dash. Yeah, snowballs are also a part of this section, and they're quite dangerous and can hit you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know that way too well.
We won't dwell on it, Swessy. We'll just stay focused, and we'll get through to the next chapter, and then we can forget all about it. Okay?
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, we all love you.
loudur now finishing up the Golden Ridge section here. Mickeynow also in the Harshwind section. Has lost a little bit of time here in this Golden Ridge, but still keeping a fairly good pace. So yeah.
And I believe that was a sub 3:30 on louder's side. It definitely looked like it. So that's a very solid Golden Ridge time, especially for his PB,
Definitely.
which is around about 40 minutes.
So now moving into Mirror Temple, we have, of course, new mechanics once again. We're going to see some dash blocks that move when you dash. We're going to see some red bubbles that is sort of an infinite version of the green bubble from Golden Ridge, but it stops when you either dash out of them or when you hit a wall. And then later we're going to meet our wonderful friends that I'm sure no one has anything bad to say about ever.
I certainly have nothing bad to say about them, so I can agree with you there. As we see Mickey, for a second there I couldn't remember his name because something popped up in front of his name, but Mickey just finishing up Golden Ridge there with a pretty solid time. And he's only going to be
4, so very nice actually.
Yeah, he's only going to be about 50-55 seconds behind going into Temple. So this race has still definitely can go either way because there are so many places in Reflection and Summit, the last 2 chapters of the game, where you can get some costly deaths. So anything could happen at this point.
Yeah. So we're going to see loudur doing a little bit of a skip here, utilizing a hidden bubble here to skip having to collect the key. It's very much intended. It's actually used to get a certain collectible, but we're not going to discuss that way too much because it's sort of a spoiler, and of course we don't want that to happen. Mickey also, we've got to talk about this skip here, where you do he uses a reverse hyper dash. You can do a variant of tricks there. Skips having to go to the left and collect the red bubble, and just skips right over it instead.
I can't look at the screen, Swessy. I just can't look at the screen for this bit. Please talk about what's happening on your left side of your screen.
Okay, so I will. We have these seekers, and they're quite scary sometimes. But for this section here, we're going to play as the seeker and going to try to eat ourselves, which is a lovely metaphor, and I'm not going to stop using that joke. And they're going to be the first sort of enemy that actually is actively going to try to hurt us. Well, sort of at least.
It's definitely the first enemy that has such a reflective AI based on our positioning. It's got very strong AI mechanics that they zoom into you. They definitely know exactly where you are on the map, and they're gunning for you. So watch out for that. We're gonna see the runners try to navigate around the seekers as much as possible. As one just pops out of a statue right there. How scary is that the first time you play casually?
Absolutely terrifying. But also what we're going to see is the runners actually using the seekers to their advantage here, because they can actually pick up the coins for them. Let's see. Yeah, they can pick up the coins for them and make for some really cool strats. Oshiro doesn't actually home in Blue Eye. He just goes to whatever vertical position you're at, so he doesn't home in.
Yeah, let the commentators talk. We know exactly what we're talking about. We see... I don't know. I think Mickey's actually having a really solid tempo right now.
Yeah, he does.
Definitely catching up, maybe. So both players having a fantastic tempo. This is one of the hardest rooms, I think, personally, in this chapter. As we see loudur going through it now, he's trying to get away from the Seeker. Oh, just manages to and gets into the search section.
So coming in the search section here, we have search skip coming up, of course, where you basically, it's the biggest skip in the game. You skip having to collect 2 keys and then a red bubble to get through some spikes here. But we can just get through it with a variety of techniques, and we'll see what loudur goes for. I'm guessing it's gonna be a reverse extended dash jump, very nicely done there. So yeah, that skips having to collect a couple of keys and a red bubble, so it saves about between 1 and 3 minutes, depending on how good you are. And Mickeynow also in the last little section here of the unraveling section before the search skip.
On the left side of the screen, we're going to see loudur grabbing onto his block, jumping down lower, and then jumping upwards to make sure that the Seeker hits the block instead of Madeline and causes a death. So good manipulation there of the AI to get that key.
Yeah, so now we'll see the Theo section here, which is a fairly hard section, both speedrunning and casualty-wise, at least in my opinion, because Theo limits your movement quite a lot. You cannot dash when you hold him. You can only walk, but you can dash before picking him up, and then carry that momentum through Theo, or through when you're holding Theo. Sorry.
Right, and we have to be careful throughout the section that obviously that we don't die by hitting a spike, falling in a hole, or getting hit by a Seeker, but also that Theo doesn't die. So Theo can get thrown basically into holes in the ground. So we're going to watch out for that, and hopefully neither player manages to do that.
Yeah, someone asking in chat about extended dash jump. So extended dash jump is just a dash and then a jump, but waiting long enough to jump that you get your dash back. An ultra jump is a hyper jump into a down diagonal dash. So they're very different.
Yeah, you'll find a tutorial of the dash mechanics somewhere on YouTube if you look it up. So if you want to get to grips more with the types of dashes that you can perform in the game. And a 522 reflection there, I believe, from loudur, if my eyesight hasn't failed me and I need glasses. Temple,
no,
that's
correct.
the one.
522 is incredibly
Close
solid
enough.
time, so that's really cool. Mickey also now in the last couple of series also looking to finish fairly fast here, so that's very good for both of them. Now we're moving into reflection, and of course we have more mechanics. We have our source of feather here that we used to fly for a little bit. We're going to see some Kevin blocks or crush blocks, named Kevin blocks because of the man that does the sound, Kevin from Power Up Audio, and later we're going to see some bumpers that act like pinball bumpers.
Ooh, okay. Loudur's going for lake skip here, which is if you do a wall bounce here at the bottom and then manage to get a wall bounce in the air as well below these spikes, then you can actually manage to skip having to go to the right here and activate a crush block. Looks like Loudur's having quite a lot of trouble with this. Okay, does get it in the end, but he lost, about 20 seconds to that, so there's a chance that Mickey can catch up.
Yeah, what was that time? Did he... 5:32 Maritime.
5:32?
Wow.
Wow.
That
was really solid.
Both players having incredibly good mirror tempos for their first PBs. That's really, really good. So I guess these are some players that really thrive with the terminate nerves. So they're only about a minute apart, even in reflection.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome to see, and yeah, I don't know. And loudur missing the lake skip quite a few times is gonna give Mickey a chance to catch up here by about 10 seconds just by going the normal route.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw in a couple of rooms ago there with the momentum from the Kevin block there. You're gonna use to get to a crumbling block before the Kevin block gets to it, and thereby saving a bit of time there. And here we see the bumpers come up. They're not going to be used that much. There is one mechanic cool at them that we'll see a little bit later. For now, we're going to skip most of them because they can be kind of weird to use properly.
Yeah, as you can see, with the dashes that we've been thankfully provided with the excellent speed tech put into this game, we end up skipping a lot of the things throughout this level. So the bumpers, we may skip quite a few of them, the crush blocks, so just really interesting ways of using our dashes to our speed advantage.
I'll be getting a bit stuck there with the feather on that little block, but doesn't lose that any time almost. And now we're going to see that usage of the tech. So if you hold away on the frame that you hit the bumper, it will go about twice as far, and it's using that one room to skip the middle bumper there. Gets the second try very nicely there by loudur.
Yeah, thankfully, loudur didn't tilt too hard after failing late skip quite a few times, and has actually had a very good reflection since then. So thankfully for his tournament race win chances, he pulled it together for the rest of the chapter, and it's been going really, really well so far.
Absolutely, and of course Mickeynow also having a pretty good reflection so far. A couple missed dashes there and here and there, but he hasn't done anything to lose too much time. I say as he gets another death there, unfortunately.
Damn it, Swessy. You always do this. It's always you.
Sure, it's always me. Okay. Let's just go back on the past couple of days and see who's had the most instances of commentators here.
Nobody.
That's a cause of death there from loudur.
Yeah, it is. And throughout this room, when you play it casually, you end up playing, normally without taking those shortcuts, and you activate a few checkpoints, like we just saw loudur do. He went up to the grass to activate that checkpoint, as you see. So, well done there to do it on the second try. It's a shame he didn't do it on the first try, because that was a very costly death, but he manages to get through the section in the end, and yeah.
So it gives Mickey a little bit of a chance to catch up, and it is still an incredibly close race. It's kind of a little bit incredible here. As we now see loudur going into the Badline section very soon. So we're going to meet Badline again, and this time we're going to get right into her face and just punch her as much as we can until she decides that we're good people as well.
Yeah, Mickey sadly taking a death on that final pimple screen right towards the end, but he's still pretty close behind. He's now chasing Badline down before the fight, so if he nails the shortcut section, he can definitely make up some time again on loudur in this chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. So loudur now, in this Badline fight, there's not really that many new mechanics here. There's going to be a couple of moving blocks just, but we're going to see him use jumps and dashes in a pretty good way. Since after you hit Badline, you actually get your dash back, so most people are going to see him use it to get to the ground faster, because most of our speed tech requires the ground. But in a couple of rooms in the end, that's not really going to be an option. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get there.
Oh, as loudur gets hit by Badline's balls. She likes to throw her balls at you, and twice again, so you have to be very, very careful here. Usually we see the laser being the most dangerous weapon that Badline uses against us, but using her balls to good effect.
So Mickey also going into the Badline fight now, just like about a minute behind, I would say. Might be a little bit off there, but it looks like a minute behind. Ooh, nice little save there from then unfortunately flies right into the spiker after that, but
you did it again, Swessy.
Too much time.
Oh no. You're cursing the players here.
Ooh, Mickey there getting hit by that last little ball, unfortunately, but gets the second try very nicely. loudur with another unfortunate death in that room as well. Gets the third try though very nicely. Ooh, Mickey getting stuck on that corner there. And then accidentally going too far as well.
Yeah, both runners so far having what I'd only describe as a sort of a nervy reflection. Both of them looked like they were on pretty good PB pace, and obviously want to win the race, so the nerves are probably going to kick in, and we're maybe seeing a little bit of that here in this reflection so far.
Now we're going to see Badline get a little bit more evil and a little bit more powerful and be able to move the ground around her. But of course, since we have the speed sec, we're going to be able to ignore most of that still. So currently we have loudur a bit ahead here, by about a minute I'd say. But we have something coming up which is a really, really long chapter, so we could very well see Mickey take it as well.
Yes, and like we saw right at the start of this chapter from loudur, where he went for leg skip, which is a pretty difficult skip, there are quite a few interesting, difficult skips in Summit as well. It'll be interesting to see whether loudur goes for those, considering what happened in Lake Skip, and whether that could cost him the win here, because Mickey is no pushover and got a really, really good Summit time in his last race, so we could definitely see him pulling something out of the bag.
Absolutely. We see Mickeynow also in the second part of the fight here as loudur finishes up. So it's going to be a really close one here going into Summit. And we're going to see Madeline leveling up here, getting a second dash, and of course the wonderful pink hair. So if you haven't noticed, you actually change hair color depending on how many dashes you have. So pink is 2, red is 1, and blue is 0 dashes left. Very nice visual cue, especially when you're trying to learn the game. Using a little bit of help from the Bradline there to get the extra height, and that's going to be the end of all the different sub-chapters coming up in Summit as well. We can now in the last room here of Bradline fight as well, so you're going to see. So loudur finished there at 27:10. So we're going to see what Mickey's time is when he's going to finish here after reflection.
Yeah, it should be a little bit less than a minute actually behind, so that's really, really cool to see. Okay, so I guess I should talk about the Summit, not penultimate, the final chapter that we see throughout this run by loudur. And the first section here resembles Reflection a little bit, as we see Mickey getting a 27:59 entering that, so he's about, what, 49 seconds behind right now?
Yep, that's all right. So this is going to be a really close one.
Yeah, and yeah, so this section resembles Reflection, this section we were just in. That's because Reflection is basically like the base of the mountain, even before Chapter 1, which, you know, is explained in the story if you want to play it. And we're going to go straight on to 500 meters here, which is based on Chapter 1. So we see throughout the Summit that we're going to get to all of the chapters and get to see the cool new mechanics brought back, but we also have to incorporate 2 dashes into the room.
And of course, since this is the last chapter, it's going to be the most tricky platform here, utilizing all these different techniques, and we'll have some of the, in my opinion, both the coolest and hardest part coming up here very shortly. So loudur is now the first chapter, and Mickey in the reflection part here of the Summit. Going through at a very good pace. Ooh, but has that unfortunate death here, getting stuck between those 2 little pillars. But gets the recovery. Yeah, gets it about second try there.
And at the end of each section, we see that we have Madeline here, and she's going to give us a bit of a... Madeline, sorry. Madeline's the main character. Madeline's going to give us a bit of a helping hand and shove us further up the mountain with a really, really excellent throwing arm, it must be said. Like, she throws very, very high.
So, mechanic with the dream blocks we didn't talk about much is you can actually do 2 things out of them. You can jump out of them, or you can hyper out of them. I don't believe we'll see that many hypers here. It's a fairly tricky trick, so it's only the top runners that usually go for it. Synchronized death there very nicely as well. But jumping out of the dream blocks give a little bit of extra, both height and speed coming out of those dream blocks.
Ooh, there's a bit of a tight movement there from loudur, where he ended up doing a diagonal and then a horizontal dash through that block instead of an upward dash to get a little bit more height to make that dash easier. So he's using a couple little precise movement things here and there, and is ending up with a pretty good section after that death.
So loudur now finishing up the chapter 2 part. Mickey has about 2 rooms to go for the 500 part. It should be said also that we are going after the in-game timer, so even though loudur finishes first, we might see Mickey take the win, depending on how the next couple of chapters go.
Okay,
now,
we have 1500 meters on our left side of the screen, which is a reprise of the 3rd chapter in the game, Celestial Resort. And we have all these cycles again with the dust creatures, which we're going to navigate as carefully as possible. There's a lot of tight cycles here that loudur manages to do very, very well there. And we may see some cool, interesting strats, like in this room, for example. We're going to see a nice little wave dash on that platform. And he makes it through very, very cleanly and quickly.
That was very well done on that room.
Yeah, there is a more like expert strat, I guess, that you'll see a lot of the top runners use with ultra dashes, but that was still a very, very clean route from loudur.
Yeah, especially for not using ultras, that's a very impressive way to navigate that room. So loudur now finishing up the 1500 section as Mickey gets up another unfortunate death there. Looking like loudur is taking a little bit more of a lead here so far, but it won't be over until we get to the very top.
Yeah, I would hasten to say that louder's on a really good pace right now, and I could definitely see him getting his first sub 40 in this run, which would be really, really cool. We've seen a lot of PBs, if you don't know, throughout this tournament. About like 75% of the races so far have seen at least one PB from the players. So yeah, it'll be really, really impressive to see another PB in this one.
Yeah, and this should be like just the last race we had with Mickey and M Sushi. We had a double PB, which was really, really cool. But Mickey is actually on fairly good pace once again here. So it's absolutely possible he gets PBs twice in a row here. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. loudur now going into the... let's see if he goes for the auto scroll skip here. He does. So using the momentum there, once again, skips through that huge block of spikes, gets a little wall bounce there at the end, and is moving on to the next auto scroll instead.
Right, and that skip is made possible because of the fact we have 2 dashes, and the level design definitely reflects that, and some of the skips that are available also reflect that. It's worth noting that the developers of this game are actually really wanted this game to be used as a speedrun, so they put in as much speed tech and good level design as they possibly could to emulate
Mickey going for the ultra dash strat there on the room. Not getting quite enough speed for the last cycle there, but still saves it very nicely and gets through that room in the 3rd try with that ultra dash. Very cool. loudur now finishing up the 2,000 meters section and going into my favorite part, the 2,500 meters section. And it has a lot of really cool fast strats and a couple of skips. So it's one of the cooler sections to watch in my opinion. And Mickey is finishing up with 1,500 meter here, gonna go into the 2,000 meters now.
We get to see a lot of speed here from loudur, as using the dash block to his advantage there to get a wave dash off of it. And this is a room we saw him. No, never mind. So we see this room. There are lots of different ways that people use this room, including yeah, a lot of wave dashes used, but he's gonna opt to reset the cycle for that room and get it to the entrance cycle because that's what he's used to in practice, and manages to get his 2nd try. So not too much time lost there.
Yeah, it's not about cycle. There's no cycles there, but he does use it to get a nice little entry momentum there to get the wave dash off that first block very more consistently. And we also saw him do key skip a little bit earlier, which we'll touch upon when Mickey gets there, because we sort of missed it. Yes, that's nice. The first try, very nice. Let's see if he goes for door skip as well, but just barely missed the first dash there, unfortunately. He's going for it again though. Gets the first door there, and gets through door skip the 2nd time around. Very nicely done.
Okay, so what I talked about with Lake Skip and how loudur went for that quite a lot, and it lost him a little bit of time, didn't actually end up happening. That was one of the places where I could see that happening again, so he manages to get his 2nd try, and should be like he's a couple minutes ahead now. It's still technically possible for Mickey to catch up, but I think louder's in a very good position now to take this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Going in and out of the UK section, of course, which has these checkpoints that act both like both just to watch how high up you are on the mountain, but also actually as the death checkpoints. So if he actually accidentally skips one, or even on purpose skips one, he might be able to lose a lot of time here. Mickeynow in the 2nd to last room here of 2,000 meters, sorry, and gonna go into 2,500 soon.
Yeah, and we see loudur now in the downdraft section of Summit. So you see this wind, the vertical lines in the wind instead of horizontal, and it's actually pushing you downwards. So you'll notice that some of the dashes go a bit lower, your jumps go a bit lower. Oh, unfortunate death. We're gonna reset here, try and get through this section again. Oh, loses his dash. Okay, manages to get through.
Also, I gotta say, good job, Sal, on learning what vertical and horizontal is.
Thank you. Yeah, it took me a while. It took me a couple races to get used to using the 2 terms interchangeably, but I think I've done it now. I've learnt my English. I practiced it in the mirror a couple days ago, so it's paid off.
Yeah, it's a bit funny how this dumb Swede that you like to prefer me as is actually better English than you.
Well, I've never said you were dumb.
So now we're coming up
Just
to
said you're
keyscape on
Swedish.
Mickey's screen. So we're coming up on keyscape here, where you do a couple of wall bounces there to skip time to get a red bubble and get that key a little bit earlier. And louder now in the updraft section instead, where you get a lot of high or a lot lower gravity, sorry, and you jump higher as well as you sort of float when you fall down.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna talk for the rest of the race. You can do it yourself, mate.
All right, sounds good. So, so we have these pretty long rooms here on Louder's screen, which can be kind of tricky because they have some tricky little navigations here through some spikes in the end, which can lose you a lot of time. See how Louder does here. Gets through first Louder very nicely. And Mick is now about to finish up with the 2500 meter section and go into 3K. Actually, a very good PB pace once again.
Yeah, and sorry, I am actually going to talk. I was lying. It was really important that Louder managed to get through the section of flag 12 and flag 13 because they are some of the most punishing deaths. So I think that was one of the last chances I think for him to end up losing this race was those two flags because. The rest of this, although he can definitely die in a few places, the deaths aren't as punishing, so it doesn't leave Mickey too much time to catch up.
Yeah, there are the last two flags can also be a little bit punishing, but not quite as much even. So, but Mickey is now also in the 3K section. He has about 6 minutes till the PB. So we might actually see not only a double PB in this one race, but also Mickey getting 2 PBs in a row in races here.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Very cool.
And in terms of PBs, taking away from the race aspect for just a second here, Louder's PB is a 40-minute time, and he's currently on pace for a 38, like a low 38 at that, if he has a really clean final section.
But as you say that, of course, commentator's curve, alive and well.
It's my turn. It's my turn. You had the first 3. But he should be getting a PB regardless. I'd be very surprised. Oh no. Yeah. My microphone is now going to be muted for a while basically until Louder finishes. Okay, yeah, Louder may have an unrecorded PB, but this is still possibly a PB. We'll have to check with him after the race, but we know that Mickey's PB is a 43, and he's definitely on pace for that. So it's so exciting again to see runners do so well in these races.
It's I didn't expect this at all actually, Only, and I thought Terminate Nerves would be sort of in playing the opposite way, but there's been so many PBs. It's really crazy. Very cool to see. So now Louder finishing up here on with the flag 1. Hopefully he gets through this without accidentally doing one of the many things that can just make you randomly die here. Oh, and gets the skip cutscene there with a 38. What was that? 38-12?
38-21. You got your 2 and your 1 the wrong way around, but I forgive you. And that's such a good run from Louder there. We'll wait for confirmation from him. He might join the chat. His PB was the 38-39. Well, there we go. He just PB'd by 17 seconds and won his tournament race. So congratulations to him. An excellent run.
So now we're still gonna have to keep track here of Mickey. Yes, still about 4 minutes here to PB on the last couple of on these last couple of checkpoints here. So we might still very much see a. Oh, Louder says his PB is a 37:52. So it actually wasn't a PB, but even then it was an incredibly good time and shows that he has some consistency. 2 hours ago. So Louder still with a very consistent time there and wins the race nonetheless.
Right, and consistency is very, very important, obviously, in the tournament format, but mostly because we have 7 matches, sorry, in each group for one individual player. So if you have good consistency and you're able to pull off times like Louder just did that are close to his PB in all of your matches, then that's really, really cool to see. And Louder's doing a great job there. And we'll wait to see how many deaths he had, if anyone's interested in that. But yeah, we're waiting on Mickey to finish here. He's getting really close to the end, and yeah, he's the bounce again. I hate that wall bounce so much that Mickey does. I haven't seen any other runner go for it, but Mickey ends up doing wall bounce and clears it. But yeah, I'd love it if we could count down Mickey's final few flags here in chat, if you guys want to, because
we'll do a repeat of what happened on Overwatch Game 2. So
yeah,
let's help Mickey with these 6 last flags here. So be sure to count down in chat. We want to see everyone being active here and giving Mickey the energy for a double PB.
Yeah, a reminder that his PB is currently a 43:33, I believe. It's a mid 43, so he's on pace to beat that by 2 minutes. He's doing so well so far. So Mickey has had a fantastic day. I'm not sure what he was expecting going into the day, but yeah, he may have been improving his PB by about 5 minutes over the course of one day and 2 tournament races. And
Yeah,
although
that's
he didn't get the wins,
incredible, actually.
like it's so good.
Did he skip the second? Okay, he didn't actually skip the second point.
Not this time.
Managed to get a bit of a save there at least, so doesn't have to die on the last flag here now, or on the last 2 flags, sorry. Now getting up to checkpoint 1, climbing the last little stretch of the mountain here.
This should be it. This should be a 2-minute PB, which is incredible from Mickey, and he makes it. He's gonna get there. Oh, okay, and he gets a 41.17. He gets a 2-minute 15 seconds PB, and that is immediately after he just did his last tournament race, where he PB'd by 3 minutes. So Mickey has had a fantastic day. Some excellent races from him, and again, the streak continues. We've got another race with a PB in it.
So we have had 2 races here at the start of the day. And we have 4 PBs, with 2 of them coming from the same person. We just need to like calm down a minute and realize how insane that is to start of the day here.
We're going to see the final screen from both players. We see 37 deaths on Louder's side and 64 on Mickey's side. He does have more deaths, which is part of the way of explaining why his time was a little bit more than Louder's, but still 3 minutes between the players, considering that at the start of this day, their PBs were 9 minutes apart, is very impressive. Mickey has put on a great show today.
Yeah, it's very, very well done. We of course have a race coming up, but we're gonna have a break of about 4 hours at this point. It doesn't look like we have any injuries, so we're gonna just finish up here. In about 4 hours, we'll have another race over on Speed Gaming 2. Me and Salad are gonna be back again. We're gonna have a double race between Musasar and Malkaken, as well as Grossicken versus A Caroline. So that should be an entertaining race, or a couple races there.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a 4-way view of the races that we see there, and then straight after that one we have another 4-way race on Speed Gaming 4 later on today that I'll also be commentating. So we have some excellent races throughout the day. Make sure to follow all the Speed Gaming channels, Speed Gaming 1 through 6, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. I've been Salad, he's been Swessy, and we'll see you all later.